Hey, welcome to GunStuff. Today we're going to be taking a look at Velocity Precision Recoil-less bolt carrier. So they sent us this for testing, and basically what this is it's a lightweight bolt and a adjustable gas block pairing. Okay, so this is what they send. I went ahead and took the liberty of putting this on the gun before we came out here because I had bench blocks and all the tools and everything, and it was easier to do back there than to do out here on the range. We've had a lot of rain around here lately. So I went ahead and mounted the gas block, and I'm going to be shooting a bunch of different things here. So we got different types of ammo, we got different bolt carriers, and then we're going to be running all these out of the same gun. All right, so just to show you that the Velocity gas block is a stainless steel gas block, but they've put this lattice work matching design in there, just the same as what's on their bolt carrier. And that's not just something that they came up with just for appearance or whatever, but what they did is they took a little bit of engineering behind it, and a lot of different bolt carriers have different things put into them for weight reduction. They just take out whole pieces or just cut out whole sections. And what they did is they took it from structure and load bearing perspective, in the fact that this triangle shaped pattern that's in here is what's going to be able to mitigate or handle the most amount of stress in this portion of the bolt carrier itself. Okay, they've also taken big lightweight cuts out of the side here and out of this side as well. So they've pretty much removed just about all that they can out of here without going too much further. We're going to weigh these here in a second. We have a couple other bolts to weigh them against. But first thing we'd like to do is we'd like to go ahead and get these up here, and we'll show you. So we'll start off with our basic standard USGI bolt carrier group. And we'll start off and we'll weigh this one right at 0. Okay, this one is at 8.5, almost 8.5 and almost 9 ounces. Okay, so this is pretty much right at 8.5 to 9 ounces. Okay, what we also have here is we have a Fail Zero nickel boron bolt carrier, and in my effort to try and come up with a lightweight 300 AR build, started years ago. Had this bolt carrier because of the nickel boron capabilities for shedding off carbon and things like that, and being able to wipe it off and clean it and easy maintenance. I took this into the machine shop and I got it on the ball mill, and I just started dimpling this thing all the way around, and that was in my effort to try and do some weight reduction. Put a big channel on the side here, big channel on the side here, took some out of the front, took some essentially out of everywhere I could, and then I'd take a little bit out, and then I'd bring it back out and I'd shoot it again, and I just stopped when I got to a kind of a happy place, to where I was afraid that if I went too much further I might reduce the integrity of the bolt itself. Never went through all the way, but just, as you can see, dimpled the heck out of this thing like a golf ball. So we'll go ahead and put this one on here. This is, let me re-zero this. All right, so even with all my efforts, I'm still at 8.5 ounces on this one here. So I can only imagine what this thing weighed before I even started my lightning procedure. All right, and then now we have our Velocity Precision bolt carrier. Re-zero this. There we go. All right, finally made it. All right, so this one is sitting right at 7 ounces. Okay, so they've taken 2.5 ounces out of this bolt carrier, and one of the things is 2.5 ounces doesn't seem like a whole lot, but in that reciprocating mass, as it's going back and forth, that extra 2 ounces on the end of every round, and when it slams forward and when it slams to the rear, it takes its toll over time on the gun. So being able to tune these things down with the combination of the gas block and the lightweight bolt carrier really ought to be able to get this thing tamed and under control. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off, we're going to use the same ammunition all the way through on this testing. and so that way we don't get any variances in between the ammunition and the bolt carriers. And first we're going to start off, I'm going to reassemble this gun, and we're going to start off with the standard bolt carrier and the standard configuration. And just a little bit on the gun itself. The gun is, this is like a Frankenstein creation that I started years ago when they first came out with the very first SIG arm brace, and discovered the loophole in the arm brace community with the arm braces and the proliferation that has started out with. So 300 Blackout had just hit the scene. SIG came out with the arm brace, and I wanted to make a 300 Blackout pistol, and a lot of people were looking at me like I was crazy and didn't understand why or anything like that. And I went out in the garage and straight up sawed my barrel off and drilled new gas ports and started modifying everything myself. Now everybody offers one, but back in the day we couldn't order anything. You know, the parts just weren't made yet. So I had to go into the garage and just hacksaw it and drill it and do it all on my own. So this is the gun that has evolved over the years. This gun has had just about every part on it and taken off of it at one time or another. So this is the one we're going to be using just for this test, because this one didn't have the gas block on it. So this one didn't have an adjustable gas block, and it wasn't tuned at the time. So that's why we're using this particular gun. So I'm going to go ahead and assemble these bolts, and then we'll go ahead and we'll use our grid here. This is just a calendar, but the only reason I picked it is because it has a grid for us to be able to see in contrast how much the gun is jumping. So let me go ahead and get busy on this. All right, so I've got the bolt reassembled. What we're shooting first is the standard bolt carrier, the standard mil-spec bolt carrier on my Franken gun, and this is a Holosun red dot sight that's on top here. We're not really necessarily going for any kind of groups here. Matter of fact, we're not going to be showing you guys any groups. All we're looking at today is just to see how much we can change the impulse of the rifle and how much it drops. All right, so I got my eyes and ears on. Downrange is safe. We're going to go ahead and get started. What we have in the gun is we have the U.S. standard bolt carrier group, mil-spec, and we have the gas block installed, and it is in the wide open position. So that's the same as it's going to be if you're running any mil-spec gas block. It's going to be wide open, no obstructions whatsoever with the standard bolt carrier. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started. So here we are. We got of course we got the gas block installed. We have the Velocity bolt carrier in now, and as you can see here, we have the gas block is opened up all the way. The screw is all the way out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with a couple turns, and then I'm going to take a shot, and we're going to get some slow-mo of the recoil impulse as the rifle starts to get gas down, and then eventually we'll get to a point where it won't cycle at all, or it'll most likely get a failure to feed because the bolt won't get enough pressure to push it all the way back. But then later on I'll turn it all the way down just to count how many turns I need to bring it back up. So basically, just like a sight or anything else, I know that when I crank that all the way in, gas is completely off, and then I can come up 5 turns or 2 turns or whatever it is, and then that'll let me know where I'm at for each one of the settings. And then I can do that for multiple settings, whether I'm running suppressed or whether I'm not. So we're going to start off here. I'm going to give this 2 full turns. We're going to go 1, 2. All right, so here we go. Downrange is clear, going hot. All right. So, cycled. I'm going to go ahead and give it 1 full turn now. Come back, we'll watch the recoil impulse. All right, cycled. I'm just going to double check, make sure it picked up around. All right, did. So we're going to give it 1 more turn. It's going to take it to 4. All right. want to check it, make sure it picked up a round. All right, now I'm going to give it one more. That's going to take us to 5. One hot. All right, see if it picked up a round. Nope. Okay, so 5 turns on here. It didn't have enough gas for it to be able to come back and pick up the next round. So we know that at 5 turns, that's too much. So we'll go back up to 4 here. I'm going to bring it back up to 4. And then I'm going to reconfirm that it will cycle at 4. So I'm going to pick up a round. All right, did it pick up a round? Yep. Okay, so now I know that it will cycle at that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and run this all the way in, counting how many turns it takes. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. So now the reason I'm doing this is so that now whatever I put on here, whether I run suppressed, unsuppressed, or any different settings, I know all I have to do is run this all the way in to the beginning, come out 4 turns. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I can go ahead and fire. All right. And I know it'll cycle reliably, okay? So one of the things we do want to show you, one of the interesting things that I love about gas blocks, the kind that we can adjust here, just like this, is I can take this down. Now I know that I need 4 turns to be able to run subsonic through this short barrel. So then I can run this all the way down if I want. If I get into like a hunting season or something like that, I can run that all the way down. And then I'm going to go ahead and spin this off. I can go ahead and put on my suppressor. All right, so now I've got the suppressor on, I've got the gas turned all the way down, and essentially what I've done is I turned this into really kind of a makeshift bolt gun. So it will have no gas to come back and unlock the bolt or to kick the slide back. So what that's going to do is that's taking out all of the noise from the bolt actuating, the gas escaping from giving it just enough gas to come back and to operate the system. And then you also don't have the noise of picking up the next round and the noise of the round extracting and bouncing across whatever. So we're just going to see just how quiet this thing can be with the gas turned all the way down, subsonic rounds with a suppressor. All right, ready? So then now, this is now suppressed. Now I have to work the action manually, right? Pick up the next round. Work the action manually, pick up the next round. All right, so we've got it turned all the way down. I just wanted to run that all the way down for you to show you that you have that capability on these, that you can turn that down. So for hunting and things like that, once you're able to get these things dialed in, you can go out and you can hunt with these, even with your AR, with these adjustable gas blocks, and you can take a deer or any other game that you can hunt with your AR and not disturb the entire countryside with that super loud crack and scare off every other game or ruin the hunt for every other hunter that's around you within 300 or 400 yards, depending on your property and what you have to hunt here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back, take this off, put the cover back, put the thread protector back on it. I'm going to run this back out to 4 full turns. Now that I know it's 4 full turns, and then this gun should run just fine. All right. Okay, so I've got everything back to being reset. Cans off, thread covers back on. So I'm going to run this back out to 4 full turns. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to fire a confirmation shot just to make sure it picks up. And then if it does, then I'll lock it down. So then I'll go ahead and lock the locking screw. Go ahead and download it real quick since I'm going to be working a little bit forward of the muzzle. Clear. So on this screw, on these right here, you have this is a steel screw, but I'm going to turn this towards the camera here, it's clear, but your set screw or your locking screw is made of brass. So what that does is that protects the screws here. So if you over tighten this one, if it becomes messed up or something, it'd be real easy to drill that out at home and be able to get that out of there because it would be out of a soft brass. It just needs enough friction to keep this main screw from turning on you right here. It just needs enough friction on these threads to keep that from turning. But this brass screw that they run down through here will prevent this from backing out on you. So if you do run into cycling issues later, that would be something you would want to check. If you start running into issues where it's not picking up the next round or overgassed or something like that, and it's getting noticeably louder or shooting noticeably harder, and it doesn't have that recoilless type feeling that we're seeing here. So I'm in the process of locking this thing down now. Takes a couple turns because I had it all the way open. All right, and once you get it on there, you don't have to snug it really hard or anything either. It just has to be just nice and lightly, just finger tight on there. All right. So I still got a couple rounds in here. I'm gonna fire a couple so we can get a couple final shots of it with it dialed in. All right. So with the recoilless bolt carrier, you can see the difference between a standard and the Velocity recoilless bolt carrier group. All right, so you could take this, we got the slow motion on here. I kept it all apart so that way you guys could see everything and see just all the functioning and we put the grid up so that you guys could see for yourself just how much recoil it takes out of these guns. Now you also have the ability with all ARs to run your compensators and stuff on the front as well. So one of these systems combined with a compensator would make this thing shoot as straight as an arrow, and I don't think anybody would have any problem shooting this and shooting it accurately. So some of the things that I really like about this is that this platform, with it being an AR pistol, so this is shooting 300 black. It's a very good round, extremely lethal. You can use it for hunting, all this stuff, personal defense, everything. But this is also something that I can tame this down, and I can bring my child out, and we can have a day at the range, and they can shoot this, and it's not going to beat them to death because the recoil is going to be a lot less. So when it comes to putting these on there, they also opens up a whole arena to training for new shooters, and that's one of the things that we like to do. We always like to bring new shooters out to the range with us, and I myself, other than when we come out here and we shoot some of these things here, I'm never alone when I shoot. I'm always with someone. I'm always bringing somebody out with me. I'm out with friends, things like that. So it just opens up a more invitation to bring other people with you. But Velocity Precision has turned out a really great product here. I like the system with the brass screw. I've had other issues with some that had different types of set systems, and I've had problems with a lot of other ones as well. I like the fact that they put together the whole package with the bolt carrier and the gas block and everything being all adjustable and ultra light. So we hope you like it too, and we'll see you next time on GunStuff.